This is a hyena with a tiny little cub. This is a live safari. My name is James Hendry, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to the magnificent Djuma and Arathusa game reserves here in the famous Sabi Sands. It's part of the Greater Kruger National Park in northeastern South Africa, more than twice the size of Yellowstone National Park, and is home to all of Africa's iconic animals. This is Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner and welcome to the biggest safari vehicle on the planet. We are here in this magnificent place. It's going to be an exciting show. We've got so much for you. I've got 2 vehicles out. I've got trackers out since dawn, a drone in the sky and a bushwalk. And we've got something really, really exciting for you today. We've got a competition that is going to be the best thing. It's called Safari Bingo, and you can interact with us as well through Safari, hashtag it's Safari Live. But Safari Bingo is a game that you can play. You can get all the information on wildsafariLive.com. And the prize for this is unbelievable. It's a trip for 2 to the Serengeti to see one of the greatest wildlife spectacles on the planet, the wildebeest migration. So if you want to interact with us and ask us a question and we answer that back to you right down the camera from Africa, Twitter, hashtag Safari Live. But I'm going to cross over to something now that we have just got fresh. Well, I'm going to let Brent tell you. Come and take a look at this.
Welcome to the Safari Walk. I'm out here in the eastern sections of Djuma Private Game Reserve. Early this morning we heard male lions calling in this area, and we've come and we found the tracks of, it looks like, 2 male lions. And there we go, quite a grey, so difficult to see the tracks, but we found them really fresh. There's no sign of anything walking over them, no insects. My name's Brent Smith. This is Safari Live, and welcome to tracking big cats on foot. So our plan from here is they leave the road here and they head off in that direction. So we're going to be walking very carefully, checking for tracks as we go, and hopefully they haven't moved too far. But while you're with me, and I think the lions are still not right here, I'm going to explain a little bit about walking into lions on foot. We're the dominant diurnal predator, so lions actually run away from us 99% of the time, but there's always that 1%. These are 2 big dominant males, probably part of the Birmingham coalition, who have just taken over in this area. So really, really exciting. You can see the ground's very hard. If you notice me put my stick on the ground and draw a line, that means I've seen a track and I'm still concentrating. So it'll just to let you know what I'm up to. So we're really hoping for another bout of audio from these lions, give us a pinpoint location that we can walk towards. And of course, as soon as we find them, we will call one of the other vehicles in so they can get you right up and close with one of Africa's iconic cats. So while we head off tracking, we're going to go back to the hyena den and see what's happening there.
Welcome back, everybody. The hyenas are just having their kind of morning constitutionals, and I hope that you are enjoying a big cat week. While these are not cats, of course, they are pretty closely related and they are equally magnificent. The hyenas are truly one of Africa's greatest predators. Now, hyena is a bingo word, so you can tick that off if you want to win that amazing trip to the Serengeti. And also, just remember, we are live, which means we'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Safari Live if you want to ask us any questions about the animals you're seeing, about the area that we're in. Brent, as you can see, is hot on the trail of a lion. If anyone's going to find it, well, it's probably going to be Brent. For the moment, we're going to sit here with this incredible little den of hyenas. And what we have there is a female, that's the mother there that you can see in your full frame. And then just above that, a 6-month-old who is not the cub of the mother in picture. And then that little thing, which is probably only about 3 weeks old. And that little one there, isn't that wonderful? That little one is probably 3 weeks old and the daughter of the big one that you can see there. And the little one, the 6-month-old, is still very playful. The youngster will be equally playful and hopefully will settle down to have a bit of a suckle just now. Hyenas have the most unusual social structure of any of the carnivores, totally matriarchal. The females are larger and completely dominant over the males. I think that they will probably play around here for the next little while. The clan itself, remember hyenas live in a clan. This clan is probably about 20 strong, but they're not always together. They're often out and about foraging, especially on a cool morning like this, when the sky is heavy and leaden overhead. They'll move around looking for things to eat. And although they've been painted as villains by that magnificent film and the play The Lion King, I don't think hyenas are villainous at all. Yes, they scavenge, but so do lions. And they also do an enormous amount of hunting. Now, a wonderful question from Luke. Thank you, Luke, so much for your question. We really do appreciate hearing from you. And please feel free to tell us where you're from. Luke, you want to know what hyenas would do if you saw them on foot? Well, Luke, hyenas will normally, like just about all animals out here, move away. If we walked up to this den on foot, what would happen is the 6-month-old and the little one would disappear down into the hole. This is a termite mound, by the way, so there are holes into which they will go. And once they've done that, the adult would probably move away, Luke, so they wouldn't stand to have a kind of a fight. The youngsters are very safe inside the hole in this magnificent castle of clay built by the termites. Let's head across to a dam where there is a large bird doing some fishing. See you just now.
Well, hello everyone. Yet another interesting space in the bush here. We're sitting here with some marabou storks, very large birds, and they're having a field day here. There's lots of fish, or shall I say the other way around, there's very little water. Oh, there you go. Just caught one. That would be a little tilapia, the fish they're catching. And we'll probably show you a little bit more around this waterhole as the morning goes on. But lots of activity from these marabous, and as you've seen from the other guys, lots of things happening out there. Brent's on some lion tracks. The hyena den, we're going to go back there shortly because it is probably one of the coolest, cutest things you're going to see in a long time. And of course, Hayden in the safari tent. Lots of things happening. Looking forward to spending the morning with you. My name is Peter Pretorius, and you're live in the African bush. Trust me, you're going to have the best time of your life in the next hour. We're going to look around, but for now, enjoy the hyena den. We're going to sit here. We're also listening for leopard, so who knows?
Just move the vehicle a little bit to try and get a better view of that little cub. There she is. Isn't that precious? And here's the little 6-month-old right next to us coming to have a look. Hello. Very, very inquisitive, and it's interesting they lose that inquisitiveness when they become adults. But there's cubs like this, very confiding. And I'm using the term cub because, as I say, the hyenas are more closely related to cats than they are to dogs, which is convenient for Big Cat Week. Chewing. A wonderful question from Jessica. Thank you, Jessica, for your question. Remember, #SafariLive if you want to ask us anything. Jessica, you want to know how many hyenas are normally born in a single birth? Normally 1 or 2, Jessica. Very, very seldom 3. And the reason we think that this one is a female, both of these actually, is because if there are 2 born and 1 is a female, the female will normally kill the other one. And because this cub is on her own, we think that that's what the case is. They get an enormous blast of androgen and male sex hormones when they're in the uterus, and that gives them very sort of aggressive characteristics. And the youngsters would definitely fight to the death. If they're females, if there were 2 males, they'd probably both be alive. Isn't that sweet? And thank you, Sarah, for your question. You want to know if hyenas dig their own dens. Well, this is a termite mound, so they obviously didn't build this. This was built by, it's probably many hundreds of years old, this termite mound. It's enormous. And they don't dig initially on their own. They will go into an old aardvark or ant bear hole. An ant bear is a very long-nosed ant-eating animal that lives out here. Looks like a pig with a long snout and a funny tail. And they have tremendous claws. They're able to claw away the concrete-like structure that is this termite mound. And they will dig the initial hole, and the hyenas will then modify it. And inside, once that cub is born, she will dig herself a shelf in the back. And that means not even the adult hyenas can get to her. She's very safe from predators. It's the most brilliant way of staying safe. Look at the little thing. So this whole termite mound is an ecosystem on its own. It's got all sorts of different things going on, trees and hyenas, and there's even a beautiful jewel beetle, which we're going to try and get a view of just now. Tia, thank you for your question. How many lions would it take to frighten off the hyenas? Tia, normally the ratio is about 2 or 3 hyenas to each lioness. Then the balance kind of shifts towards the hyenas. But if there's a male lion, if there's a big adult male lion, the hyenas will normally steer clear. They are terrified of male lions, as well they should be. Let's head across to the safari tent with Hayden. He's going to show you some more of the amazing behavior of the hyena.
Fantastic. That little cub is so cute, and they're an incredibly interesting species. A lot of people think of them as scavengers, you know, but they're a formidable hunter as well. And I've put together a clip for you just to actually spell it out. Come and take a look. The spotted hyena is one of Africa's most dominant predators. They are incredible hunters, but also infamous scavengers. They can smell a kill up to 2.5 miles away and will try anything to steal it from the rightful owners. They will challenge every other predator. A leopard will rarely fight back. It's solitary and will not risk injury. Hyena will always win. In contrast, lions will fight back. They rely on their size and numbers to protect their kills. However, if outnumbered about 3 to 1, the tables are turned and the hyenas will come out on top. It's not uncommon for the clan to squabble over their spoils. Hunt, fight, or scavenge, these top predators will do anything to survive. Absolutely incredible species. I love them. They're fascinating creatures to watch. And I think while we've got the hyena den active, let's go back to James and see what's going on there.
So you've just seen some incredible behavior there. And yes, it does look like they are a thieving, villainous bunch, the hyenas. In this area, they do scavenge quite a lot. In East Africa, they do a tremendous amount of actual hunting. Now, this play behavior, as with all mammals, is crucial to neural and muscular development. All the little neurons and things are beginning to join up in the brain and through the nervous system, and this playing and chewing and things that they do, as with all mammals, just like human babies learning to walk and sit, so these mammals must do the same thing to make sure that everything connects up and they can sort of go into the fullness of adulthood with everything functioning. Amazingly powerful jaws, and while I'm sure you've seen a number of dogs and cats playing in a similar sort of fashion, it is play behavior. There's nothing aggressive. Now all the way from New York City, where I believe it's probably a lot colder than it is here. Sorry, I'm just pausing because I can hear some Franklin's alarm calling behind us, going. Brrr, brrr. Might be because they've seen the hyenas or they've seen a snake or something. We'll keep you posted. Carlos, you want to know why it is that hyenas have both male and female genitalia? Carlos, it looks like that, but they don't actually, you know. The females have got false male genitalia, so they've got what we call a pseudopenis, which is in fact an enlarged clitoris. And quite apart from being a slightly bizarre thing to look at, yeah, the mother's getting upset now, she's getting cross. She's also acting, I think, reacting to the francolins that are alarm calling. But Carlos, the reason, we're not really sure the evolutionary reason for why it's necessary, but it's because of the tremendous amount of sex hormone that the females have, and it also makes birth very dangerous for them. Apparently 18% of new hyena mothers will die in childbirth because they have to give birth through that false clitoris. Right, let's head across this very exciting stuff, the immersive experience that is the bushwalk with Brent. That is a pineapple. It's a bingo pineapple. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith, and he'll give you an update on the alarm calls. Very exciting.
So guys, we've got the break we were looking for. We've just heard kudu alarm calling. It could be lion, it could be leopard, but kudu, out of all the animals, when they let off that gruff bark, they've definitely seen one of the dominant predators in the area. So we've moved as fast as possible as we can to this area, and hopefully we're going to be able to find out whatever they were alarm calling at. So while we do that, back to the hyena den, and we'll see you shortly.
So we mentioned the alarm calls from the francolin. Obviously those are kudu going bah, bah, loud barking noise. Really hope that Brent will be able to find those lions. To do that on foot is just the most tremendously special thing in the world. It is primal, and it will give you a tremendous sense of the kind of raw nature of the wild out here, which this cub is not doing. Of course, this cub is just playing so wonderfully. Now it's just so lovely to hear from our young viewers. Olive, you're just 5 years old. I hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving weekend. You say, do hyenas like to play? Olive, hyenas love to play. Look at them. They're having a great game there. And even though the big one could hurt the little one, he doesn't, or she doesn't. I think they're both females, just like you, Olive. And so they are playing all the time. Then they get tired and they must eat, and then they sleep, and then they play again. So just like human beings, just like so many mammals. I think they probably play a little more roughly than you do, Olive, but they definitely have to play all the time. And then a lovely question all the way from the freezing reaches of Albuquerque. Jessica, I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving too. You want to know about the bite. Is it not powerful like a lion's? Jessica, it is more powerful than a lion's. It's the most powerful mammal bite out here. I'm told that the jaguar in South America has a slightly more powerful bite, but these hyenas have got a tremendously powerful bite. They will crush a buffalo femur, so that's the top part of a buffalo's leg. They'll crush that to suck out the marrow. They're the only animals that are able to do that out here, other than a crocodile. Crocodile, of course, can slam its jaws down with a tremendous pressure. But the crocodiles are not, they're in the rivers, of course, and they're not mammals. So the greatest force of any mammal out here is exerted by the hyena. And if you look at the way they're built, if you look at the way that they're sloping back, everything kind of hinges on that front shoulder there, supports an enormous array of jaw muscles, just all around the ear, behind the ears and into the sagittal crest, which is the part of the skull that supports the jaw muscles. There you can see. We're going to head across to an advert break shortly. We're going to stay with the hyena den. Brent will hopefully find those lions, and we'll see you after this. So everybody on the web, you're most welcome. I hope you're enjoying this broadcast. We've very luckily found these hyenas, and perhaps some of our TV viewers have crossed over to the web for the advert break. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm not going to talk too much because I don't want to bore you to death by repeating myself when the TV comes back. So we'll sit here a little longer, and just to keep you updated, Scott is also on some leopard tracks. We had Kunuma yesterday evening, and he's moved off his kill, which was all finished. And Scott's trying to follow up there with 2 trackers, with Bright and Jeffrey. I'm tempted to go around the other side, but I don't know. I think we're okay here, hey? And maybe try and ooze a little forward. Will that help you?
Yeah, sort of.
I mean, we do have 4 minutes to move if we have to. It's not going to make any difference. I can't get any further. What about back? You think you get a view on the other side there?
The problem is because it's running.
Yeah.
This is our best spot.
The tree is deeply inconvenient. We might have to come and chainsaw it down when they've moved. Okay. So just to keep you posted, everybody, we're going to probably come out of the advert break with these hyenas unless the cats are found. This is Big Cat Week, of course, and we're hoping to show everybody some cats. There are tracks everywhere, so with any luck we'll find some cats too. Got Scott out on tracking team, Brent out on foot, as you've seen him. He must be so excited. On lion tracks is Brent's favourite thing. Well, second to wild dogs. Peter's out looking, Hayden's in the tent, Andrew's in the drone. Well, he's not in the drone, he's flying the drone. Did you get that question?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
A mare,
Yeah, I got that.
8 years old. How much meat can a hyena eat?
Oh, look. Okay. Right, welcome back, everybody. We haven't moved an inch, but these hyenas are still playing. For those of you who've just joined, you are on a live safari here in the African dawn. It's a grey dawn, but it's a magnificent one nevertheless. Talk to us, hashtag Safari Live, if you want to ask us any questions about these animals or any of the other animals we get out here. We'd love to hear from you, and tell us where you're from. My name is James Hendry, and on camera we have got Brian Joubert, all 6'4" of him. And if you're playing Safari Bingo, remember hyena is a bingo word. We've shown you a pineapple, you can have that too. Now, a lovely question from Amaya, who's just 8, and like I say, to have younger viewers, it's just wonderful to create or inspire new champions of the wilderness. This is the way to do it, I think. Amaya, you want to know, well, how much can a hyena eat in one sitting? Amaya, a big adult female, will eat up to, I'd say, a third, probably just over a third of her body weight. So if she weighs 70 kilograms, which is what a big hyena female weighs, and in pounds, that is, I've just got to do my maths quickly, it's about 170 pounds. She will eat about a third of that. So if it's 160, we'll make our maths a bit easier. About 50 or 60 pounds of meat in one sitting. Can you imagine eating that, Amaya? 50 pounds of meat in one sitting? That's what they're able to eat, with bones and muscle and all sorts of other things. Look at the little one there, playing all the time. I think eventually will settle down. You can see he's starting, perhaps, to lose some energy now. Lovely, astute question here from Sean in Texas. Sean, you want to know about the long neck, and is there, has it evolved over time? What's it for? Sean, there are two reasons for the hyena's design. One is for stamina. They've got that sloping back like a wildebeest, and that means that they're slightly slower than some of the other predators, but they're also able to move for a long time. And we're just going to quickly go across to Brent. He's got the alarm calling kudus. Let's go across to him and see what them, and I'll see you just now.
So you can see the movement in the bush behind us there. Those are the kudu that alarm called at whatever predator was around. So we're in the hot zone, so to speak. We're in the right area. I've just heard a squirrel alarm calling in the drainage line just down here. So we're hoping whatever the kudu saw, the squirrel spotted. We're probably about 80, 90 meters away. So we're going to go quite silent and sneaky now. So while we do that, let's go see what HD's got in the tent.
Absolutely fantastic, exciting stuff happening this morning. Brent on tracks. It's all happening at the hyena den. I just wanted to give you a quick look at a hyena skull, because I think it's really important to understand that an animal's diet shapes its biology and its behavior, and it's also its anatomy. Have a close look at this. Okay, now this is a hyena skull, very stout and short. There's a massive muscle here that comes along up here called the temporalis muscle, and it joins onto this thing called a sagittal crest. Now it's very, very prominent in the big carnivores. It's the big muscle that allows them to open their and close their mouth. But I want you to have a look at these teeth right here. Now this tooth right here is called a carnassial tooth. Both of these ones, they've actually got a very, very sharp shearing sort of size to it. And what I want to try and compare it to is that on a hyena, for example, it looks a little bit more like, one of those big splitting axes that you split wood open with. That's what the hyena have got, where one of the sharper axes is what the lion and leopard have got. So this creature here can break through a bone, a giraffe leg bone or a buffalo leg bone, with no problem whatsoever. About 1,100 pounds per square inch, which is about the same as a great white shark and a grizzly bear. So I'm talking a serious creature, much smaller than those two animals, grizzly bear and great white shark, but still immense power. Have a look at this up here. That face of that buffalo, or that part of the skull, was bitten off by a hyena. These guys are serious predators, and they are super powerful creatures. So let's cross back over to Peter and get a bit of an update. Just wanted to give you a look at that, because I think that's really interesting stuff and it puts it all into perspective. Let's check what Pete's up to.
Guys, welcome back this side. We're still in the process of looking, and sort of feel like we're on the verge of finding something. We've had Kudu's alarm calling in there, where Brent and them are looking, Scott and them as well. We're on this side now, twin dams. We'll show you the dam later on. Coming back to the bingo thing, it's a very exciting thing. As you know, you can go to Africa with National Geographic. Twin dams would be one of the watering holes. But we're listening, we're looking. I do have a feeling we can find a leopard at any second. It is that close. I can feel it here, and maybe lion as well. But leopard is what I think we're going to get. So can't promise, but we're going to keep looking. And for now, enjoy the hyena, and I'm going to see you back here with a big surprise hopefully soon.
Hello everybody. There is the play behavior that we've been discussing going on. Now, some of it might be described as bullying, I suppose. I'm just quickly going to get back to Sean's question from Texas. Sean, the design, the long neck, so we've discussed the stamina side of it. Sean, the other reason is because they have to support those tremendous jaw muscles, and they're supported in the neck and onto the head. That's why they've got those heavy forequarters or front feet, and big shoulders, and half the reason they have that long neck. So, amazing design that they have. And interesting, we were talking about evolution and the co-evolution that occurs, and that means two of the same evolutionary strategies that have occurred in totally different animals. So, wildebeest and hyena. Ooh, the Bahamas. A question from the Bahamas. Miko, what a great question. How old do hyenas get? In captivity, you probably find that they could push it to about 20 years. Out here, 15 would be very old, Miko, and I'd say the average is probably about 12 for a matriarchal female. I don't think you'd find many hyenas older than that. And that's just because, life's quite tough out here. They've got to do a lot of hunting. They fight a lot with the lions and with each other. There's a mother being very, very caring. Fascinating question from Joe Okeechobee. I hope we've got your name correct there, Joe. It's certainly not one I've heard before, about hyena hunting. Joe, you want to know if hyenas, what's their strategy when they hunt? Are they stalkers or coursers? Or are they like cheetahs or lions? Are they sneaky? You see the way they're built, Joe, and we were chatting to Sean about the design that they have. Joe, they're designed to run for a long time. So what they do is that they're hunting, they will normally exhaust their prey. If you go and watch them on the plains of East Africa, they'll exhaust anything that they try and run after. They're not as fast as some of the other animals, but they will course after them. They're not very sneaky, they don't stalk. They'll run after them until their prey gets exhausted. Right. From these great predators, let's head across to the safari tent. I'm not suggesting Hayden is a great predator, but he's got a nice insert to show you about some of Africa's most iconic predators. See you just now.
Absolutely beautiful footage to see that little carbon interacting with the rest of the clan there. Now, there's interactions between predators all the time, and no more so than lion and hyena. Lion are the powerhouse. They are the big heavyweights of hunting, and they really can pull down some of the biggest herbivores. Buffalo, one of their favorite things on the menu, but they have been seen to pull down young giraffe and even elephant. I've put together a clip just to give you a little bit of insight into that. Come and check it out. These guys are the heavyweight predators of Africa. Lions work as a team. They are strategic and ruthless hunters. This allows them to take down the largest of prey, buffalo, giraffe, and sometimes even elephant. They rely on stalking their prey, exploding from cover at the last moment. Teamwork is the name of the game. The combined strength of the whole pride wrestles large prey to the ground. One will take the throat, another will grab the nose and mouth to suffocate, and the rest will take it down. But buffalo often fight back to save one of their own. It's a huge gamble. Sometimes the lions back off, but sometimes the buffalo must accept defeat. But the bush is full of scavengers. Spotted hyena will take any opportunity to steal the kill. Tempers can fray, and the competition for food is vicious. Incredible stuff. I remember so many of those hunts live. It's just incredible to be in the presence of those creatures when that's going on. And that happened all live on Safari Live from Africa. Now, I'm going to cross over to Brent. He's right on the line track still, but he's also got something very, very interesting to show you. Small things.
So we haven't given up on tracking the big cats yet, but I've found one of my favorite little creatures. It is called a dice moth larvae. It's a caterpillar of a very cool moth that actually has sort of 4 spots on its wings that make it look almost exactly like a dice. You can see these incredible sort of jutting out little pieces of him that are there to help sort of distract predators, and you can see how those 2 are almost, let's see, moving towards. We have heard some more alarm calls in this area, but we haven't heard for a while, so we're just sitting quietly and listening. Your ears are the most important thing when you're out tracking. Oh, he nearly fell there. But this is definitely one of the coolest little creatures that we get out here at Djuma Private Game Reserve. So behind me is quite a thick area. Oh, he's definitely loving the camera this morning, this little guy. And you can see he's got quite bright coloring along with these wavy bits that stick out, which will make him a bit of a target for birds, one would think. But because of the bright coloring and these waving bits, it's possibly to tell the birds, don't eat me, I don't taste very nice, I'm quite noxious or poisonous. So that's why he can move very slowly like this and not really worry about any predators. So it's called aposematic coloring, and that is used by lots of animals in the insect world as a defensive strategy. So he moves along the ground mostly. You don't find him in trees, so he eats a lot of small bushes and flowers, and quite a lot of the flower species out here is where he'll get his poison from. So they will sequester that poison while they are caterpillars like this, and then when they're adults, that poison will go through, and that's what keeps them alive. But we're going to carry on trying to see what these kudu were alarming calling at. We're going to put this little guy back down in the grass where we found him, and we're going to go back to James, who's still with those incredible hyenas.
So the 6-month-old is sort of walking around a bit, looking a bit forlorn at the fact that he doesn't, or she doesn't have a sibling to play with, because the little one seems to have settled down to have a bit of a suckle. So we'll try and get into a position to look at that just now. And another lovely question from a young viewer called Mario: do hyenas fight over food? Mario, they don't fight quite as much as lions do, but I'm going to tell you about that just now because you're going to an advert break. So Mario, I will answer your question in a few seconds' time. We'll stay here with the hyenas and see you shortly. Maybe time to move. Oh, we're still live, everybody. Small glitch in the matrix there. So I'll quickly answer Mario's question. They do fight over food, Mario, but not as much as lions because there's a very strict hierarchy. That means the females always get to eat first, and the biggest females will eat before the other younger ones. So a little bit of fighting, but not quite as much fighting as there would be in the lions. They fight viciously over food. Very clever question. Thank you, Mario. Now we're going to the advert break. We'll see you shortly, I think. All right, internet people, we're now genuinely in advert break. We're going to probably move the car and see if we can't get a view. What do you think, Brian? Can we go back a bit? Good from the other side, there isn't. Let's have a look. We've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes, everybody, till the TV comes back. We'll just see if we can't get a view of the Arathusa. I think we were probably in the best possible spot. We were very lucky. When we got here, there was another vehicle in the spot we normally park. Take a run, I'll drive around it. It should be okay. There we go. Big aerial sticking out the back, of course, that we have to watch out for. With that, just reminding there are some buffalo on cheetah cut line. Should we go back? It's very difficult to decide, everybody, and we've only got the back end of the hyena here. We won't get a view of the cub here. We could, I suppose, if we got very close, but I think that would be insensitive and may just result in them disappearing. Right, let's go back to where we were. Brent is still hot on the trail of those lions. Scott the leopard. It's all rather frenetic here for these hour-long shows. We don't have the normal 3 hours to meander about the bush, finding bits and pieces. So we're profoundly grateful for this hyena den. And of course it's very, very difficult to track on a day like this, where the light is so flat. There's no contrast at all. Makes following the tracks very, very difficult. You saw me put up is just communicating with the final control. Give the flick.
We are still on the
Yes, we are. Yes, of course. Copy that. So I'm just getting a question there, everybody, into my ear from Tara Dales, who was directing today. And the hyena, the little one, is behind a tree. I'm short of taking a chainsaw out and hacking that Sisyphus down. This is the best view we're going to get. Amazing how fast that little thing has grown. Right, so we're going back into the TV broadcast in 30 seconds, everyone. Welcome back, everybody. We're still sitting here with the hyena den, and if you have just joined us, you are on a live safari. That means we're coming to you live from the wilderness of the Kruger National Park in the northeastern corner of South Africa. We're looking at some hyenas here. If you want to ask us any questions, please do #Safari Live and play Safari Bingo. Check that out on wildsafariLive.com. I'm not going to try and explain the rules to you here while we're looking at these magnificent hyenas. Question from Sarah in Barrington. Sarah, very good question. You want to know if two male lions came across two male hyenas, would there be a fight, or what would happen? Would they just kind of leave each other alone? Sarah, remember that the males hyenas are smaller than the females, and they're not very big at all. A male lion probably weighs in the region of 700 pounds, a really big male lion. A male hyena probably weighs in the region of less than a quarter of that. So about, my maths out here is a little bit difficult, 350, 175 pounds. So 175 pounds for a male hyena and about up to 700 for a male lion. There's no contest at all, Sarah. The hyenas will run away. They will not go anywhere near the male lions at all. So, Sarah, yeah, the lions would completely dominate any hyena situation. Oh, all the way from Guyana. How lovely. Great question from Mo Can in Guyana. Mo Can, I just missed your question. We're going to get back again from you. I'm just amazed that you're watching us all the way from Guyana. Right, here we go. And Mo, you want to know which predator kills the most prey. The most successful predator we have out here, Mo, is the African wild dog. It's the wolf of Africa, the most magnificent painted, mottled, white, brown and black dog with huge satellite dish ears. They are the most efficient predators. They'll kill 70 to 80% of the time that they chase. Right, on to another insert in the safari tent. Let's head across to Hayden. He's going to tell you about the elusive, spotted and beautiful African leopard. We'll see you shortly.
Fantastic stuff. Beautiful to see those guys so active. And as James said, those African wild dog, incredibly successful hunters. But one of the hunters that we have a tendency to see a lot, and we see them sit with their kills a lot, is leopard. The complete embodiment of stealth, power and beauty, all put together in this stylish looking cat we all love. We're all passionate about them, and we know so many of them. We watch them and we know their names and we just hang out with them. Well, they're excellent hunters as well, and I've put together a little clip for you to check out. Come and look at this. The leopard is the ultimate combination of feline beauty, power and strength. They are solitary, elusive and stealthy. This is a superbly camouflaged hunter that stalks to within striking distance of its unsuspecting prey. With the target in sight, the leopard creeps forward using cover, head low, shoulders hunched. Once in close range, they hit the accelerator, break cover and grab their prey using powerful jaw muscles. The lethal throat hold leads to suffocation and eventual death. Leopards often haul their kills into trees to protect them from scavengers. They are agile, effortless climbers, able to pull more than their own body weight up a tree. They are the only cat in Africa that does this. Absolutely magnificent cat. I just can't get enough of them. Just want to give you a quick look at a skull here. Come and have a close look at this. This is a young leopard skull, probably about 5 or 7 years of age. And if we open up the teeth the jaw, sorry, here. These are the most important teeth, these four here, the canines. They're the killing and holding teeth. They're the ones that will go through the spinal column or go into the jugular and hold. Then these teeth here, these are the incisors, very, very important as well. They're quite fussy, our leopards. They have a tendency to like to pull out the feathers and the fur first before they eat. Then just moving back to these really important ones here, the carnassial teeth. These ones here, just where my thumb is and just here. These are the shearing teeth or the slicing teeth, and what they do is they actually cut through the fur, and you can see they've got an incredibly sharp edge on them. They're like a scissor-like action, and they'll cut through the skin, and the flesh, and that's what allows them to have such a successful meal. So carnassial teeth, they're more like the axe that you cut a tree down or chop wood with, as opposed to the hyena ones that are like the splitting teeth. These guys are absolutely exceptional hunters. Anyway, I just want to give you a quick look at that because I think skulls are absolutely fantastic and really interesting. Let's cut across to Brent and see what he's up to on the bushwalk. The small stuff matters too.
We are back. We're still in this area. We're really convinced that the leopard or lion are in this area. We're waiting for more alarm calls, but while we do that, we sit here and listen carefully. I found some wild asparagus. Now this is a huge food plant for the elephants. Even though it's so tiny, they'll actually go dig around and eat it, and it's also edible to humans. It tastes a little bit like asparagus, not quite as nice as the asparagus we eat, but it is used traditionally as a food source in times of drought. But while we're going to get moving again, and I'm going to use my sock just to test the wind. So sock is quite an important word. I hope you guys pick up on the fact that I'm carrying a sock with me. So we've got sand in the sock, and it just helps us test the wind, especially when we're approaching potentially dangerous animals on foot. And the other thing you need when you're approaching potentially dangerous animals on foot on a live African safari is a cameraman like I've got here, Jean-Ray, who's cool as ice under all. It's cool as ice under all situations. Now, we're live and interactive, and William has asked us a very interesting question since we are looking for big cats on foot. William would like to know how close we can actually get to big cats on foot safely. William, we can actually probably get quite close. It depends on the situation, the wind, the weather, but generally we don't like to get too close to cats on foot. We like to track them on foot. It's much easier to see tracks, and we can go to areas where the cars can't. And once we've spotted the cats, we normally probably anywhere from sort of 15 to sort of 50 meters, we'll spot them, and then we'll try and move away quietly, and we'll get on the radio and call one of the game drive vehicles in, and they can get much closer. And the great thing about walking is we can access areas that the vehicles can't to follow the tracks. So speaking about getting on a vehicle, let's jump on with Peter and see what he's up to.
Well, what a view, firstly. We are very close to the safari tent. In fact, we might actually see it in the next few minutes as well. And we've left the area where the leopard was earlier. We were looking for him, but wasn't much time left for you to be on safari with us. So we've come back to this area, as I said, close to the safari tent. And this is a beautiful setting and a variety of animals here, actually. Look at that. Still nice and cool, fresh morning, which is why there's such lovely activity from the hyena den earlier. It actually almost seems cool enough for the animals to be taking it relatively easy. So this is a site you will probably recognize, blue wildebeest or gnu. And well, I think while we've got a few minutes left, this bingo thing is very exciting for me, purely because it gives you the opportunity to come and visit Africa with National Geographic, which I think is really cool. Now, you've all looked at it. If you haven't, WildSafariLive.com. Go look at the rules and how to play, but do play this. You don't miss out on this opportunity. I'm going to run through a few bingo words for you very quickly. So we've got blue wildebeest or gnu in the back there. Let me just point out for you there. We've got impala far away. There we go, some impala. A couple of males playing. Those are young males. Well, actually adult males as well further back. So that's blue wildebeest or gnu, impala. The tree above those impala, this one there, that one and that one and that one, they are all marula trees. An important one. Marula trees are not only important because they're bingo words, they also have great fruit. One of the tastiest fruits out here. It looks like a golf ball size. Elephants love them. Another one for you. I don't think I have to tell you what this is. Surely we've all learned this early in school when we're learning the alphabet. Now in South Africa we would say zebra with a Z. For you guys from North America you would say zebra with a Z. But same thing, zebra and zebra, both bingo animals. And I'm going to move just a little bit closer to these guys. Another very easy one would be, my name is Peter Pretorius, and spending time out within the bushes of Safari Guide. So there's a bunch of, let's call it a bingo blast for you. And yes, Greg, we've got a question from Greg in Nevada. Nice to hear from you. Just asking if these are the animals that would be part of the prey, if you want, of the predators. I'm just certainly looking at the blue wildebeest. Those would be prey to lions, possibly hyena, possibly wild dog. You've seen some different hunting strategies this morning. Lions obviously work differently because they're group animals. Also, they're very big. Leopard are solitary. Hyenas again have got the benefit of team, team effort or numbers, and of course, with all predators, but especially with hyena, really good intelligence. Let's clear these. Yep. Sorry, I'm so excited just to be on drive with you. It's fantastic. Look at these two impala. They're having a bit of a horn sparring session there. Young male on the right, so he's just practicing. This is not a fight. Both of them are young. The one on the left would be about 2 years old. He would have been born almost exactly 2 years ago. And the one on the right, almost exactly 1 year ago. Because we are, and this is very important to notice or to take note of, we are in the beginning of the lambing season for impala. There's a big herd of impala just in this area. We saw them this morning actually from the safari tent before we headed out. And those impala will be dropping lambs possibly today even, because it's nice and cool, overcast weather. And guys, all the years I've been at Djuma, every year when the impala start dropping in this area, when the lamb's coming, that attracts attention from the predators. So even though we haven't found the leopard yet, and we do have about 3.5 minutes left for this drive with you, we might still find the leopard. It can happen any second. But if not today, this afternoon, any of the other drives, we will find leopard in this area, possibly wild dog, possibly hyena, and possibly lion as well, just because of this. But that's just because there's lots of activity here. So Greg, to answer your question, impalas, zebras, wildebeest, and this is where there's going to be lots happening. I think we're probably going to try and get back to the hyena den before the drive is over. Enjoy that beautiful young cub. From myself, it's been great seeing you out here. See you for the next drive. This is going to be a fun week. Enjoy Big Cat Week.
So we're still sitting here with these hyenas, and the 6-month-old is attempting to be a leopard. It's climbing on this tree, not very well. We've seen him fall off, or her fall off 3 or 4 times. She's biting off the bark, and the youngster is still enjoying. Here she comes. There's the youngster, just having a bit of a suckle and playing with mother. So special to be able to spend this kind of time with these incredible animals. And there's the 6-month-old coming through off her tree. She's been playing on, and like I say, that play behavior, very, very important for joining up the neural pathways and muscle pathways that are so crucial to mammal development. Wonderful, wonderful stuff here. We're about to go off air. Please carry on watching if you want to on the internet, WildSafariLive.com. A huge thank you to all of you for coming along and watching, coming on safari with us and sending through your questions. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
And we'll see you tomorrow in the brilliance. In fact, this afternoon and then tomorrow. Bye-bye until then. Right, so everybody on the internet, we're still with you. Whew. Heartbeat beating away. And I'll take a little bit of a breather. We are still live with you, obviously, for the next hour, and then we're going to close down and probably go and put our heads in a cold bucket of ice. It's a stressful thing, this TV malarkey, I've got to tell you. Enormous fun to be involved with something like this. It really is. I'm so grateful that we had these hyenas, because the lions and leopards were not playing ball with us initially. We'll see what happens later on today. I think they'll probably move around a bit. Excuse me. They'll probably move around a bit, given the coolth of the day. I think that little one is settling in for a long sleep. So Tristan, you're in Fire Island. I have no idea where on earth that is. It sounds like a brilliant place to be. And you want to know why this hyena is biting away at the bark and the wood. And you say, is it because they're like dogs? They teeth. It's exactly the same reason, Tristan. All mammals, I think, if I'm not mistaken, go through that phase where they have milk teeth, and they lose those teeth, and they get their adult teeth. And even baby humans will need to chew on things to try and help those teeth work their way through. And that's definitely one of the reasons that she's doing that. The other reason, Tristan, is because she's got to develop those muscles in the jaws. Those jaws are absolutely crucial to her survival, and her ability to strengthen them will be infinitely improved by chewing on sticks like she's doing now. Remember, they don't really have a great array of toys to play with, so it's sticks, bits of bark, and your sibling, if she happens to be around. Now, just to recap, for those of you who perhaps just joined us, this hyena den is not only these three. Well, it is these three at the moment. There's the mother, there's a young 3 or 4 week old cub, and there's a 6-month-old cub that we're watching now. And what is telling is that this is not the whole clan. The clan is probably about 20 strong, and that hyena there is not the matriarch, we don't think. We think that is a younger female. Ooh, let's quickly go across to woodland kingfisher. Fantastic.
Well, this is quite a rare treat for us. We've been hearing them for about a week or so now, these beautiful birds called woodland kingfishers, and they migrate here only in summertime. So you start hearing them calling. You hear that the whole day, beautiful call. You're really associated with summertime in the bush as well. Woodland kingfisher calling, impalas having lambs. Those are two of those very clear summer indicators for us here. Stunning birds, and they were displaying a bit just now. A bit of sort of, big wings open and the colors really come out. Obviously it's mating season for them as well, being summertime, so lots of calling as well as lots of displaying. Just give it another second or two. I'm hoping they're gonna, they're listening now. I should have just not talked too much. Like, what are those people talking about? Beautiful. That's the call. Now, woodland kingfishers, even though they are kingfishers, don't necessarily eat fish. In fact, many kingfishers don't eat fish. They eat insects, especially out here in the bush. So the woodland kingfisher, brown, striped kingfisher, many of them are catching insects rather than these guys. You'll almost never see at water, actually. Those long beaks are perfect for that. They can catch bees and even wasps without it being able to hurt them or sting them. Guys, I'm very tempted. I could happily sit here for the next half an hour. It's just so beautiful today. It really is. It's nice and cool. In fact, it's actually cold almost. Oh, they're still sitting there. Let's see. Oh, you're going to get you a better view. That's amazing. Awesome. Loving this. As I said, this really is one of my almost nostalgic animals if it comes to memories of the bushveld, of the lowveld. This area we are in Djuma Game Reserve, Sabi Sands. And these kingfish are very almost iconic of this season. Look at the little tail as it calls. Reminds me of that lion the other day when it was roaring, turning its head every time it roared. Look at the tail. Guys, keep in mind, even though it is not TV at the moment, we've obviously just said goodbye to that audience. And to those safari goers, for you guys, you must remember this bingo game is very, very exciting. There's 2 more shows to play it in. The 2 primetime shows coming up tomorrow night and the next. Any bird, woodland kingfisher, Cape turtle dove, grey heron, battelier, any bird is a bingo bird. This one doesn't count now, only for the primetime shows, but make sure you know those rules so you can grab those whenever you see it. Oh, it's just lovely. All the bird calls this morning. As I was saying, it's quite cool, in fact almost cold. There is still a possibility. What's that? It's a steel buck. Let's just see if these guys keep sitting here, because they for some reason seem to not worry about us. There they go. I thought they would. Nice and cool, almost cold. That could mean cats can stay active. We've had lion tracks, we've had leopard tracks this morning. They have been around, we just couldn't find them because that's how it goes sometimes at safaris. Here's some impala. Let's see what they're up to. These are the impala I was talking about earlier, or at least part of those groups. The breeding impala, or the breeding herds. Hello Colin, good question there. Which kingfishers actually catch fish? Have a look at these impalas. Again, I don't see lambs yet. We're starting to see more and more lambs with some of the other herds. But this group that we see here around Djuma camp haven't started yet. So this could be happening today, anytime, tonight, almost certainly. Colin, you were just asking. Oh, just look at that bird. The bird singing so nicely. Turtle dove. Which kingfishers actually catch fish? Malachite kingfisher, the tiny little beautiful blue one, would be one of them. Pied kingfisher, the black and white one. We actually saw one catch a fish this morning at Buffelshoek Dam. We were looking around there. Those are the 2 that we see most often. We're now looking at these female impalas. William, hello William, asking, and I presume you're watching us a little bit earlier as well, asking how dangerous are male impalas with their sharp horns to humans? Not really. I mean, if they wanted to, they could obviously hurt you. Those horns are very sharp. Even a male impala, like the young one we saw earlier, 1-year-old, those horns would already be about that long. So if it was to poke that into you, that could obviously not only hurt, but be very dangerous. But William, again, even the big animals out here, to be fair, even lions, generally speaking, try to avoid humans. And impala, certainly, you could jump out and run at them, and they will just run away. They will not fight with you. Unless you really, for some reason, get hold of one or some strange sort of situation like that, then it can be, fatally dangerous. But impalas and even the big animals, they don't want to fight. They want to get along. And the same goes for the predators as well. So as long as you respect animals out here, you're fine. Khalid, nice question. Hello from from Los Angeles, where you're joining us from for the safari, just asking. Khalid, I apologize. This happens sometimes. I just went totally blank there. What you were asking me. Yes, how fast can Impala run? Thank you very much for saying it again. Very fast, Khalid, and the same as you would. If there's a leopard behind you, you would be amazed at how fast you can run. So they can run faster than a flash when the time comes. But to give a speed to it, probably at a sprint, they can do 65 kilometers an hour, give or take. That would be about 40 odd miles an hour. But they can do it in very quick bursts, and that's obviously important to outrun the predators. So it's all about that sort of, it's your 0 to 100 speed or 0 to 60 rather than your top speed. That's often very important for them. And we might still see that in the next few days. There's going to be a lot of activity. This really is an exciting time in the bush. Speaking of exciting time, lots of things having babies and making nests and doing the things. So I'm just seeing some tracks there, fresh hyena tracks heading towards the den where James was sitting this morning. On the bushwalk, they've got some sort of further information for you on those kingfishers we were just talking about. So I'll see you back here in a bit.
Welcome back to the bushwalk. We just spotted a kingfisher shoot out of this high embankment. You can see we're on a drainage line, or actually a stream bed, where when we have a lot of rain, water flows down. We're going to pop down into it and try to show you the hole. It's a perfect place for a kingfisher to nest, and I'm going to explain that to you in a second why. And it is not only about the big cats, which we're still on track following. We've got the trackers in the area. They've spotted tracks a little bit further to the west of us, so we're making our way there, making sure that the animals haven't moved through this part of the reserve. But we can see, we can see we've got this huge clay bank here, and there's multiple holes in it, and only one of them is being used at the moment. And if we have a look at these holes here, you can see there doesn't look like much is going on. But if we move across, and this is where that kingfisher shot out of, we've got a little bit of dung down here, and we can see that it's been freshly excavated. Now this kingfisher is a grey-hooded kingfisher, which is one of the more rare kingfisher species we get here. So it's really great to know where they're nesting, so we're going to be able to show them to you sometime in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. I'm definitely going to be checking here regularly. Very, very beautiful bird. And we're going to keep moving up the drainage line. It's going to be the easiest place for us to see tracks at the moment. So hopefully we find tracks of these.
Well, Brent Leo Smith, if there's one thing we can say about him, and there are many things we can say about him, but one thing is that he will not give up once he is on the trail of a lion. He is like a dog after a stick, really. And I think that he's going to be lucky. I feel it in me bones. Right, we're still here with the hyenas, of course. And there is some bullying going on. And I think in the absence of this adult supervision, it might escalate to something nasty. But every time the little one looks like it's getting upset, the big one sticks its head up, and that 6-month-old backs off. It is just a lovely scene. And I'm a bit irritated by that buffalo thorn tree that's in the way. There's a huge amount of playing going on there. Oh, look at that. Now, hyenas are very territorial animals. The clan is highly territorial in Deonty in Cleveland, Ohio. Welcome to it, and so great for you to answer, for staying with us first of all, and then asking some questions. You want to know who marks the territory, males or females. Deonty, all members of the clan will mark the territory, and they do it in various ways. One is to drop their dung, which comes out green and then turns a very obvious white color like lime, and that's because of the calcium in it that oxidizes in the sun. So that's one way of marking a clan boundary. The other is through using something called an anal gland, which is a gland just underneath the tail, and they rub that against sticks, and that leaves a very pungent, strong smell for any passing hyenas who might think that the area is unoccupied. They are highly territorial, so they will definitely fight. the clans amongst each other if one strays into another's territory. And sometimes that does happen, especially if there's a big kill. Say an elephant dies or a hippo dies or something like that. Often you'll have clans converging, going out of their territories and trying to get some of the spoils. And then they will fight. Now remember, interestingly, we talk a lot about fighting out here, and people often want to know who's winning what and who would win if this one was to come across that one and the number was, X and Y. Interestingly, the solitary animals like the leopard, like the cheetah, will not fight. They will try and avoid conflict at just about all costs because they live on their own. They cannot avoid to be at least afford to be injured. If they get injured, that obviously will be a major disaster for any kind of hunting activities that they want to do. But the animals that live in groups, wild dogs, hyenas, lions, they're more than happy to have a box if the need arises, because they know that they have the support of the pack or the clan or the pride. And they'll still be able to eat with any luck, even if they do get slightly injured. And that plays a huge role in what we call the predator hierarchy out here. The top 5 predators. Lion at the top, then hyena. Sometimes that swaps if there are lots and lots of hyenas. And then wild dogs, which occur in groups. And then leopard and cheetah underneath them all the time. You may be able to hear that alarm calling from the birds going bzz, 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 bzz. Now, Matt, in California, you've noticed these odd-shaped, almost bear-like, but very large ears that the hyenas have. And Matt, you want to know, what do they use those ears, or what's the most useful sense? Matt, I think it varies depending on the situation. Nasal sense or olfactory sense. And it allows them to smell rotting meat from miles and miles away. And so if they're for eating, I think that's crucial. I think their ears are probably more useful for defense. They can hear if someone's coming. They can also hear each other when they contact call. And we were chatting the other day about wild dogs and why they have such huge ears. And one of us made a really, not me, one of the other presenters made a really astute observation that they communicate over huge distances when they're on the hunt with these whooping noises. Now, hyenas do the same sort of thing. So if one of these hyenas was to come across a kill, or one of the other members of the clan who's foraging right now was to come across a kill, they would whoop and make a big noise. And that would attract the other hyenas to come through and help them either steal it from the lions or share in the meal. So I think that's probably why the ears are so big. Very good question. Thank you, Matt. They've also got tremendously good eyesight, of course. Now, a wonderful question here from Wisconsin, to which I don't know the exact answer, and I challenge anybody to know the answer to this one. Laurie, it's a very good one. When a hyena den like this is threatened, so we had an incident the other day where 3 lions came up to the den, and they were suddenly sort of appeared, and the hyenas all looked up and they were terrified, and then the youngsters went down into the hole and the adults disappeared. Now, Laura, you want to know what is the mechanism by which that happens? How on earth do the adults communicate that to the little ones? I don't know. I think it's probably a lot to do with the look. It might be a nudge. It might be a little kind of almost inaudible sort of grunt that they make, and that will encourage them to go in. I think there's also probably a lot of instinct involved in it. Certainly, you know, the youngsters, when they're born, they dig that shelf. They do engage in that sort of distasteful practice of infanticide. And I think that you'll find that that instinct to go into the hole is probably quite instinctual rather than it is an instruction given from a larger one. Right. So, Daniel, thank you very much for your question. It's a very good one. You want to know why it is that hyenas eat bones. Do they only eat bones because they're desperate for that? And, I mean, would they eat meat if they could rather eat meat? Daniel, they'll eat anything. You're absolutely correct on that. But they eat bones because they have the digestive system that is able to cope with eating bones. They have the teeth that can bite them, the jaws that can crush them, and the stomach acid that can digest it and extract nutrients from them. So bones are very nutritious if you have the system like a hyena does, which is able to process them. So they don't only eat them because they're desperate, and they will eat all bones that they can get their teeth into. So an enormous elephant bone they won't eat. And I'd say a giraffe femur is probably the largest that they'd attempt to eat. But on the subject of that, let's head across to Hayden in the safari tent. He's got a microscope there, and under it he has some hyena dung. And you can see the bone, the fragments and the amazing digestive system that the hyenas have. We'll see you after that.
Happy stuff with the hyenas. It's great information James gave you, and I want to break it down even further for you and take you and have a look at, well, you know what? I'm into dung. I'm a bit of a dung specialist. I was a zookeeper years back, and dung was my business. So you can learn so much from animal feces or animal dung. You can figure out what they ate. You can figure out how long ago they passed through here. And sometimes you can figure out the animal's health in a captive situation for sure. But come and have a look at the microscope. I've got a bit of hyena dung here. And just microscope just here is what we've got is hyena dung with very, very white sort of look about it. And the reason for that, I've just got my little pointer in here pointing to all. You can see hair within that as well, and that goes undigested. But all the bone matter that James was just talking about there gets digested through that incredibly advanced or very, very strong digestive system. Now, that particular fecal matter is very, very white because of all the bone that they do eat, and they when they defecate, this feces will be sitting on the ground, and you will be able to tell automatically that it's hyena dung. But other animals will benefit from that as well. You'll find tortoise will eat that, and some birds will eat that for a calcium intake. They have this incredible digestive system that has been research shown that they digest a bone and teeth even, and they will pass through the system in 24 hours. Quite incredible stuff. And one of the reasons why they can get through that bone is because of this. Just come and have a look. We talked about it in the last hour on the live TV shows, but these teeth here are the reason for that. These lower molars and upper premolars, incredibly powerful. They are the big bone splitting teeth that crush those bones up and allow them to eat as much as they possibly can. And really all that's left in most of the carcasses is hooves and a bit of horn. So they're very, very adaptable. Now, as James mentioned, I think they would prefer to scavenge. It's much less risky, but when they're very, very hungry, they turn into a formidable predator that can hunt down big prey. They can take down a good-sized herbivore, but as James also said, they'll eat pretty much anything. Now, I did have a question from a young viewer, and I just want to ask our control. Emma. Emma, age 5. Fantastic, Emma, and so happy that you're watching. I've got this little thing that I want to push through the next Big Cat Week about, you know, grow up wild, and it's called Operation Wild Child, and I think you're my first Operation Wild Child member today, Emma. Great to have you with us. Now, you want to know where all these bones have come from and these skulls, and it's a brilliant question because they have come from all over the reserve. We've picked them up, and there's a man that owns this place with his wife, Pippa and Yuri, and they've been so kind to lend me these beautiful skulls that he's collected over the years, and he's got this little museum, and that way we can teach people about them, we can learn more about them, and they've all been found on the reserve. Let me just quickly go through you for a couple with you, Emma. We've got a hyena skull here, okay. We've got here a leopard skull, a lion skull, and if we just go up onto the shelf up here, Emma, we've got another leopard skull there. I'm pretty sure you know what this is, Emma. This is the tallest animal we've got on the land in Africa, or in the world for that matter. Over here, a little bit of a buffalo skull that's been eaten by hyena. This one down here, check this out, Emma. This is fantastic. Oh, do you know what this is? I'm going to give you one guess. It's got a big horn out the front of its nose there. Well, it's actually looks more like fingernail material. It's big, it's grey. Emma, did you say rhinoceros? That's exactly what it is. It's a rhinoceros femur, or the bone that goes down this part of the leg, this big part of your leg here. And that's the ball joint there that goes into the hip. Fantastic question, Emma. Really, really great to have you. I'm going to go back over and see what Peter's up to, but I think we're going to get a bit of an aerial shot of Peter first. I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks, Emma.
Well guys, we've got a herd of impala here, and I heard you were just looking at some interesting information about, well, what hyenas eat and obviously what comes out afterwards, and also some of the skull structures. Fascinating how they designed and put together. But we've got a herd of impala here with a few babies. There you can see one jumping along. Just going to go a little bit forward, try and get you a better view. We've gone a bit further west from where we were earlier, and I just came across this herd of impala. I want to show you a couple of these lambs. They are just absolutely adorable little Bambis, and many or most of these would be, you know, you could measure their age better in hours than you could in days actually. Let's just have another look at one or two of them. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, that was a sneaky sneeze. Snuck up on me a bit. There you go. Now, either of, well, there's three actually, sorry, I thought there's two. The oldest one here would be maybe 4 or 5 days old. We've started seeing them about a week ago, the first babies. But this specific herd, I know I saw a couple of days back, and there were only 1 or 2 of them. So they would vary between some of them born last night, going through until, as I said, 4 or 5 days at the most. So really small. Impala lambs are born with what's called precocial. In other words, they developed before they are born to the point where once they're born, they can see and run and walk normally within minutes. Obviously, that's crucial to their survival. They have to be able to stick with their mother, run away with their mother soon or very soon after birth. So nice. I don't know. Good question. Why is it called lambing? Well, generally speaking, for whether you use lamb or calf or bull or ram or cow or ewe. Sorry, I'm just making sure I get it right there. So, ewe or cow, bull or ram, lamb or calf. The distinction is normally made at the size difference of a nyala. Nyala is a beautiful antelope which we'll show you on drive at some stage. We saw one briefly earlier, but we couldn't actually show it at the time. And a nyala, a female normally would be ewe. Sorry, I'm confusing myself here. I'll show you this little bird just sitting in the. This is why a lot of times when it's cold like this, it's gonna fly, might fly. There we go, beautiful. A lot of the birds, this is a dove. They sit right in the thickets to try and keep a little bit warmer. So your smaller antelopes, they would be lambing. In other words, the ewes, after they'd mated with the rams, would have little lambs. But your bigger antelope, things like kudu perhaps, as a good example, the bulls would mate with the cows and they would have calves afterwards. So it's, you could also say babies and giving birth. That could also be right. It's not a wrong or a right way to talk about it, but that's just in terms of the English breakdown of the words, if that makes sense. Back on the track here, we were heading back in the area, or planning to head back towards Twin Dams area, where earlier this morning there were leopard tracks. That's where Djuma was seen yesterday when James was there, and also lion tracks in that area, but we couldn't find them, so we're going to go back there a bit, have another look around. Maybe because of this cool weather they're still moving around. Great question there, Amy. Amy's joining us in Safari from Illinois. Hello. What's the most unusual... What's our niche now? Well spotted VM. Let's give it a little bit of space there. Oh wow. Get a little bit closer for you, a little bit closer. As this is amazing. You know, the guys that told me about this, that there's a nest here. I didn't know exactly where it is. Just sitting there. They use camouflage extremely well, not only for themselves, but even the eggs are very well camouflaged. Right next to the road here, you can see this is possibly the biggest danger for that nest would be not cars, because we're aware of this and people know, you'll see them. But on the tracks like this is very popular for animals to walk on, especially animals with soft feet or padded feet like leopard or jackal or hyena. And they will obviously be walking right past that nest. So you can see there. Give it a little bit of space. Don't want to disturb it too much this morning. It's nice and cool. Let it keep the eggs warm. Sorry, I was just busy answering there. What's the most interesting prey I've seen taken? I'm trying to think. I've seen, for instance, I remember the picture the other day, I saw it again, where a young leopard in Djuma, who's one of the cubs from Karula from years back, walking around with a little leopard tortoise in his mouth. But to be honest with you, the most interesting prey I've seen being taken by a predator, and it's maybe not unusual, but it's just so rare to see, would just be lions catching buffalo. That's such an incredibly rare thing to see, that even though it's expected that lion hunt buffalo, it's still unusual to see it. Otherwise, I've seen cheetah take an ostrich. That's pretty unusual. So interesting to see. But yeah, I'll think a bit more if I can remember some small things. Maybe some interesting catch from a bird catching an insect or something. Speaking of buffalo and lion, the guys on the walk are at a mud wallow, and some interesting things to tell you around there. So enjoy the bushwalk. We'll see you back in a bit.
So we're still in search of these big cats, and while we're walking along this prominent game path, Jean-Andre spotted this little bit of movement at his feet, and it's what you call a bladder hopper. So unlike normal grasshoppers, it doesn't have wings, but this guy is so perfectly camouflaged, and the only reason Jean-Andre spotted him jumping out of the leaf litter is because of the movement. So I'm going to pop him into his sort of normal area where he uses the leaves as camouflage, and you'll see he'll just disappear. So you can see, if we hold him next to the leaves, he's almost the exact same color as these leaves that have fallen off the tree. So we let him go. Oh, he hopped. And he's disappeared. We're going to let him carry on. And so the reason I'm working through this area is, in my experience, male lions don't often like to lie in the thickets too much, especially on a cool day like this. And we've got this wonderful end of a seep line here, where it's more open and grassy, and male lions like to lie there. So we're going to walk up this. These lions have really been giving us a run around this morning, but we haven't given up yet. But before we head on, we've got the remnants of a mud wallow, and it's dried up probably yesterday. And very interestingly, we've got some really nice tracks around here. So you can see that the mud there is still very wet. So the last little bit of water would have left yesterday. And quite often a lot of people would think that these are terrapin tracks and they're leaving. I don't think so. I don't think this mud wallow had enough water for the terrapins to come here. I think this is a big leopard tortoise who's come down, had a drink, and then left out through the water. So quite a few different tortoise tracks here, slightly different to terrapin tracks, but this is from yesterday at some point this big tortoise came and had a drink and then moved on, and then another little tortoise over here also came. Oh, Jean, come here. This is probably one of the prettiest little footprints we're ever going to see, and it's often very difficult to see them unless they're in the mud. So, have you got it here? It's a little genet. Quite often people think a genet is a cat. It's more closely related to the mongoose. And you can see the genet was probably coming here for a drink as well, and it slipped as it was trying to have a drink in the mud, and then it sort of leapt off and came back this way and then carried on, and then we can see tiny little footprints. And this is probably very late last night, probably still a little bit of water left, tiny little toes, a tiny little back pad. I mean, if you look, I'm going to put my thumbprint there. My thumbprint's almost as big as the whole genet's footprint. That gives you an idea how tiny they are. But I'm trying to see anything else. It just looks like tortoise genets and a dove or two have been here. So, as I say, I'm quite dogged from occasion, and I don't like it when cats get the better of me. So, we're gonna carry on. At the moment, I'm going on gut, and quite often a lot of tracking is gut, especially here where we don't see many tracks. The ground's really, really hard. You can see my boot barely leaves a scuff. An elephant could walk through here and we wouldn't see the tracks. So this is where experience and instinct come in. But while we continue the hunt for these lions, James has got some great grey beasts in the drainage line.
From hyenas to elephants, and while many will consider the lion the king of the jungle, surely there is no greater or magnificent animal in the world, well, on land certainly, than the African elephant. This is a small breeding herd. That means that there are cows, youngsters, and maybe the odd bull up to sort of 20 years or so, and just feeding through the woodland here. Now I'm going to try and move a little bit now. I'm going to go a bit forward. There are probably about 10 of them in this group, and they're just grazing and browsing down towards the sort of thick bush on one of the dry riverbeds that runs through the middle of Djuma. The big thing with elephants is to try and make sure that you maintain their trust. They can get nervous at vehicles, and the trick is to make sure that you don't disturb them, frighten them at all, and then they can be very confiding and tremendously rewarding. There you go. Is that right, Brian? Lovely question all the way from Ohio, and your name is Rain. Rain, you want to know, you said I said that elephants can be killed by lions. Rain, it's possible that lions can kill elephants. Like a little one like this they would be able to kill. I was more referring to them scavenging on an elephant that had died naturally. But yes, there are parts of the world, Rain, where elephants are killed by lions, in Botswana, especially in the droughts when they come to the only last remaining water. And Rain, the only way that will happen is if there are lots of lions. They work together as a team, and especially if there are male lions there, they need the extra strength that the male lions give. Thanks, Rain. We've had a few drops of rain here today ourselves. We're just going to move around here and try and get a little bit closer. Now, thank you very much, Country Gal. You want to know about the size of a heart of an elephant versus that of a giraffe. The giraffe, as far as I'm aware, Country Girl, just don't want to make too much noise here, has the largest heart of any land mammal. So because the giraffe's head is so far above its body, it's got to get blood into the brain, and so it has this enormous heart to pump that blood up into the brain. And the elephant doesn't have quite that fight against gravity. An elephant heart is still enormous, but it's nothing like the size proportionately of a giraffe's. I forget the exact numbers. I'm not wrong, and you're welcome to check me up on this, a giraffe's heart weighs about 17 kilograms, which is about 40 pounds. Quite large. I'm just going to sort of try and needle my way into this herd, doing it very gently indeed, watching their behavior very carefully, making sure that they're not threatened by our presence. Every time we do that, we gain their trust just a little bit more, and they just carry on behaving without worrying about us, and that's how we want to be around them. Right, let's head across to Peter. He's also got some elephants.
Well guys, we've found the elephant suddenly. One group with James, we've got another herd here that just came right past us here. Moving on slowly. I just want to move or reposition us. Looks like a nice sized breeding herd. There's some further in as well that I can't see, but oh, here's a youngster. Let's see, they can sometimes be quite playful. Sort of a teenager, quite a nice tall elephant that. He's going to be a good looking bull when he's older. Yeah, and this cool weather is making them normally have a lot of fun. There we go. Hello. I'll just give you a better view. Let's see if you obviously interact a little bit. You can see the ears are up, but this is very playful. The adult, the female that just walked past with a small baby, she was totally relaxed and calm. So any interaction we get from these teenagers will be for fun and games, for elephanting around really. So firstly, no danger there. Secondly, they're not bothered by us. So let's just go around slightly. Hello, Paddy. Asking all the way out of San Francisco. Supposedly elephant have got great memory. Is it true? So I'm just seeing what they're doing because we want to get a nice position to watch them again. Yes, that's very true. They have amazing memory. Watch him busy moving that one tree. That's actually... maybe we can squeeze a name. I actually have a few stories I can tell you about that. There's enough time for it, but they can remember watering holes, feeding areas, even individual people, if they spent enough time with them, sometimes for years. You could not see them, in other words, for 5 or 10 years, and they'll remember you afterwards. So, incredible memory. Sit here a little bit, see if she comes out. That's the adult female. That little calf is just behind her. Look very carefully. There's his trunk just under her belly. And she was just moving that whole tree, the one that's in front of her. She pushed the whole thing to the side. Now that's a tree that had been pushed over by elephant in the past and was now protecting the grass underneath. So you can see where she's eating. This whole area, all this grass has been protected by this tree. That gives her some nice grazing now. She's big enough to just move it. And while she's eating the grass, the little calf is deciding, I'm going to get a bit of a drink from mum, it looks like. A little bit of milk. This is a young calf, 5-6 months, something in that region. And he will still be heavily reliant on milk, but starting to eat green, leaves and grass and things as well, and often just following and mimicking what the mother is doing. And that's how they learn over the first many years, really. It takes them a long time to learn all the different things they can eat, which times of the year to eat it, which season is it better to eat grass, and when's it better to eat roots or twigs or bark or leaves. All manner of vegetation that they can consume. Find a slightly different spot to sit on. Maggie, hello. Asking if elephants ever lose their tusks through fighting. Yes, the short answer. That's more with bulls, obviously. They can sometimes lose them, or more often just break them. A piece of the tusk will break off. You also see female elephants sometimes with a tusk that's missing. That won't necessarily be from fighting, but maybe just from overuse or something that goes wrong and it gets hurt, and they can lose it. Oh, look at the little one climbing over the log. Actually trying to get another drink as well. I said have a look. These ellies are going to come right out. Often when you do this, they come and have a look at us as well. I'm just trying to stay out of your way here. That's that same teenager that was playing with us just now. He's going to come do some more of it, I think. Beautiful greenery here as well. As you can see, we're in the sort of budding season of summer now. Grass is growing after the rain we've had. Leaves are coming out. Here comes the big female as well, and that little one. Oh, I thought the little one might come and look at us. Earlier it was quite curious about us. But for now, they're just moving in nice and slow. We're going to stick with them. You're going to see some very interesting little insects, especially when it's overcast like this on the walk. See you back in a bit.
So we found some harvested termites, and you can see they've taken up defensive. Oh, look at that head shaking and that head banging. It's communicating. They've taken up a defensive position around their hole when they felt the vibration of our feet. Look at that, isn't that incredible? You can see the soldiers have taken up defensive position around the entrance to the hole. So one of the biggest predators of these little guys, or mammalian predators, is the aardvark. So one of the ways they detect an aardvark coming close is carbon dioxide. So I'm going to blow onto the hole and you'll watch them react to that. You can see how they just all go a little bit deeper. There's one still. There's a couple still out here. And if I let this guy get to me, they're able to draw blood with those incredible pincers. So they've sent all the workers back down the hole, and now they're taking up a defensive stance. And there's a couple of big soldiers, these guys here, who are out trying to see where the potential threat is. And you can see how incredible those jaws are. And you can see the communication with the head banging as they communicate with the others. The others are slowly moving back up the hole. But are we going to leave them be? We're going to continue moving along this really prominent game path that I'm hoping the male lions have chosen to use. And hopefully we are going to find some cats today. But while we do that, it seems there are elephants everywhere. So let's go to James with his ellie herd.
Going around a little bit. Basically those elephants are moving in a bit of a block here, and we want to try and go around and get to the front of them. With elephants, always nice, when possible, if you can wait sort of off to where they're moving to. Obviously we know that they've accepted us now, we're not bothering them, and then you can just sit there as they move towards you, and then they can decide whether they want to go around you or come and have a look at you. So we're going to just find another seat or spread out. I think actually they'll come out in the next road. This is also, by the way, one of the great ways, or one of the systems we use in tracking is the road networks. So if you have a leopard track, for instance, that's going into one block, especially when you've got multiple people searching, some can follow the track, but the other guys can go around to the road on the other side, see if the tracks come out, and that way you can sometimes leapfrog and cover a lot of ground. So same idea. Why am I not seeing them? They should be just in here. Just remind us again of how optimistic we are. I think we will find a perfectly camouflaged leopard. And then you only move a couple hundred yards and elephants can disappear. There we go. Welcome on the vehicle. I believe we've got someone just letting us know it's their first time on the vehicle. Unity, if I'm getting your name correct. Just a bit of an update as to sort of where we are and what time of year it's in. Firstly in Africa, southern Africa, so in the southern hemisphere. So we are going into the sort of midsummer time for us now. November, December, January, summertime. It is quite green, as you can see. There's the ellies. It's because we've had some rain already, but we're in the early parts of summer. This will get lush and thick grass will get tall and the bush will get very, very thick with leaves over the next few months. Good afternoon, good morning, good morning. A little bit of a head shake. And so summertime, oh, look at this. Look at that posturing, beautiful big head. Ears are open, making himself look big. Kicking the sand. This is not aggressive, guys. This is interactive playing, a bit of dust bathing, showing off. There we go. Interesting at the moment, this elephant doesn't have tusks, even though it's old enough to start getting tusks again. It should actually have tusks already. Try and have a look in there. Maybe they're just a bit small. Here's the big female again. That's her. With a little calf, she's lactating as well. Interesting with elephant, they lactate from between the front legs. So the mammary glands are between the front legs, 2 of them. That's where the little calf would get his milk. Nice big female, good condition as well. Let's go in a bit more. This is actually an old track that we're on. We haven't really used it much the last while. There's an hyena den up ahead, or used to be a hyena den. It's not active anymore. Actually, I think the elephants pushed over the one tree that was growing sort of in the termite mound. So I'm not sure if that den will become active again. Guys. Oh, we just got a little bit forward. Little guy is looking at us. All of them becoming very curious about us now. That's a nice thing with elephant. Intelligent animals. So if you spend some time with them, you sit with them for a while, sort of integrate yourself into the group, you will often find that they will then come and have a look at you, as also become curious about what we are doing. Look at the little trunk. The first few weeks and first few months of an elephant's life, the trunk is almost useless. They almost can't control it. It takes time. In fact, it takes years for them to become really perfectly coordinated. Just like humans, you might have hands in the beginning, but it takes a little while before you can grab things and eventually write and do intricate things with it. So another question there from Unity. Sorry, I missed exactly the detail of your question there, but you were asking how old, I presume the little one you're talking about. Probably about 6 months, 5-6 months I think would be a good age for this little one. The female is quite a big mature female. I would put her somewhere in the mid to late 30s. And then now in terms of size and age, this little youngster, as I said, 5-6 months, would probably weigh about 150, 200 kilograms, but not 400 pounds. Now, imagine a big elephant. I think James will tell you something when you see him now.
Isn't this a wonderful shot of this herd? And it's an incredible social interaction that we don't see so well from the vehicles. You can see the biggest animal in your picture there is a big bull elephant, 6 tons of him, 6,000 kilograms, almost 14,000 tons, or at least pounds of elephant. Magnificent. And what he's doing, he's in a state called must, which means he's looking to try and mate. And that makes him, well, irascible. It makes him a little bit angry. Some might say aggressive, but I think aggressive has a negative connotation to it. He's certainly easily irritable. And he's looking for a female who might be an estrus, and he'll try and mate with her in the herd. From the age of 9, so a 9-year-old elephant is less than half his size. And that will be round about the age from which he'll be looking to try and mate with them. And you can see where we are in relation. We're not going to go blasting in here to try and sort of catch up with the herd at this stage. They are in some very thick bush, so we're just going to keep looking at them from above, and we'll watch how this plays out. There's the elephant bull, you can see. Isn't he magnificent? I mean, we see cows and herds very often, and I tell you what, when you see a big bull like that, the size difference is just incredible. I'm going to sneak slowly forward. We do drive off-road, and just to make you aware, those of you who are new viewers, and it's so wonderful to have you with us, we have tried to be as careful as possible about the trees we run over, and most of them will pop up behind us. There's the bull going now. You can see him heading across the road. And we're just going to... No need to go any closer than this because we have an aerial view of him. Here he comes now. Huge animal. Wonderful. There you see him moving, loping gently down into the bush. It's a bit clearer there, so I can move the car a little bit to get into a better viewing position for that bull. I think we'll stick with him. The herd's headed into some very thick stuff, so we'll stick with the bull there. Amazing. Isn't this incredible? Stuff. A bit of getting around. Thank you, Nat.Geo, for your question.
You got that? Okay, this is my first CMR beetle of the year. CMR stands for Cape Mounted Rifles. So during the colonial era, the yellow and black was the color of the Cape Mounted Rifles, which was obviously a mounted army unit of irregulars, volunteers, and it is possibly one of the more interesting little bugs, and I'm definitely not going to pick this guy up. It is a meloid, or a blister beetle, and it sprays cantharidin out of his nether regions, and that causes massive blistering, very, very similar to an acid burn. So you've got to be very, very careful, and every summer quite a lot of people get those burns. Quite often they're sleeping. So really, really, really interesting. So there is another beetle that looks almost identical to this, and it's actually a jewel beetle, and it's called a meloid mimicking jewel beetle. And the only difference is that it doesn't have those bright orange antennae. So that's how it escapes being eaten by birds, is to look like the really, really noxious CMR beetle. So this is the first one, but definitely not the last. They're gonna explode in the next little while, and we're going to see sometimes hundreds and hundreds of them on single trees. So very, very exciting times. Hopefully none of our team gets stung by them, but if we do, we will show you what it looks like. But from us here on foot out in the African bush, it's been great having you with us, and we're going to head over to HT for the last little bit of the show, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fantastic. It's been a really interesting morning. The cats are out there. We're definitely going to stay hot on the trail of those line tracks, and maybe one of the leopards will pop up too. But what a wonderful thing to see that hyena interaction this morning. We get to that den sometimes, and they're lying down, not doing a huge amount. And you know what's really nice? This morning there was great interaction between the cubs, the yearling, and the other youngster. So that's great stuff. Now, I just wanted to also give you, I think James was talking about elephant's heart and the giraffe's heart as well. I've just got a couple of stats for you ever so quickly. A giraffe's heart is about 11 to 12 kilograms, which is about 25 pounds, and an elephant's heart is about probably double that, and getting up to about 45 pounds. So just an interesting little fact for you there, whoever that question was, and thanks for asking that. So remember, that's the great thing, interacting with us via Twitter and questions@WildEarthTV, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Great stuff to be able to talk to you directly down the barrel live from Africa. I've got some information about this too. I've had to write it down because there's lots of times for me to remember. Our next primetime show is 6 a.m. South Africa time tomorrow for us, 11 p.m. East Coast, 8 p.m. Pacific time in the United States. Okay, so just go through that again. 6 a.m. South Africa, 11 p.m. East Coast, 8 p.m. Pacific. And then we've got an afternoon program as well, 4 to 7 p.m. in the afternoon, South African time, 9 till 12 a.m. East Coast, and we've also got 6 to 9 a.m. in the Pacific time zones, okay? So we've got about 10 seconds to go. I'm going to say thank you very, very much. It's been wonderful to have you here this morning with us, and we'll see you next time on Safari Live.